Hello again everyone, I'm Paul the Nitro Scars. Welcome to this edition of the Nitro Corner. Today is Friday and it's time for part 1 of our weekend report. We'll begin with the Monday Night Raw report first, then the Impact report, and then in the Nitro Opinion this week, a fan asked a question on my channel, on my Rest 101 channel. I'll be more than glad to answer it right here on the weekend report. So let's begin with the Monday Night Raw report first. Triple H came out at the beginning of the show. Yes, he did defeat CM Punk at the Night of Champions, and please don't get me started on that. You know how I feel about that career politician. Well, anyway, he announces that CM Punk will take on Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena in a triple threat Hell in a Cell match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in October. Should be real interesting to see what happens there. And then, of course, the match itself, Triple H says that he had nothing to do with the attack by Kevin Nash, The Miz, and R-Truth after all three attacked both men and left them laying. Anyway, Triple H says that someone is going to be fired tonight after John Laurinaitis came out there and proclaimed, CM Punk, I wish you the best in your future endeavors, but you're fired. All because he disrespected him. The only reason why you have your job, like I said in the past, and I'll say it again, is because you're Road Warrior Animal's brother. That's it, enough said. Anyway, Triple H overrode that firing and said someone is going to be fired tonight. Moving on now, in 8-man tag team action, Air Boom, Sheamus, and Justin Gabriel scored the victory over Christian, Wade Barrett, David Ortunga, and Michael McGillicuddy. It was a good 8-man tag team matchup. And once again, the tag team woes continue for David Ortunga and Michael McGillicuddy for this week. Next up, the former WWE Champion, Alberto Del Rio, defeated John Morrison, kind of in a squash match, so to speak. Kind of a waste of time for a great talent like John Morrison to get squashed like that by Alberto Del Rio. Next up, Sin Cara versus Cody Rhodes went to a no contest after once again Sin Cara number 2 shows up and they exchange aerial maneuvers where they miss. Like I said last week, this reminds me a lot of a classic match of the week that I showed a couple weeks ago between Mr. Wrestling number 2 versus the imposter Mr. Wrestling 2. Who is the real Sin Cara? Who knows? Who cares? That's kind of a waste of time to me. I thought Sin Cara was going to become a rule breaker. Who knows now? That stuff's up in the air as far as I'm concerned. Next up, Mark Henry comes out there and wants an apology from the fans and JR for disrespecting him and holding him back for 15 years. Well, JR's apology, according to Mark Henry, is weak, so he grabbed him by the tie, squeezed hard until Jerry the King Lawler came in there to try to break it up. He got 2 world's strongest slams, one in the ring and one through the table at ringside. Mark Henry surely is not playing around when it comes to him being the World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, he defeated Randy Orton at Night of Champions for that belt. Next up, in Divas action, Kelly Kelly and Eve Torres defeated Natalya Neidhart and Beth Phoenix in a tag team matchup. This should be a very interesting situation involving those two teams in the near future as it involves the Divas division. And more about that, by the way, later on in the show. Next up, in a non-title matchup, Zack Ryder with special guest Raw host Hugh Jackman from the Iron Man, actually from the Wolverine movies, defeats Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match. In a non-title matchup. Good win for Mr. Woo Woo. Zack Ryder victorious. No doubt he'll probably be in line for a title shot. And then in the main event, CM Punk teams up with John Cena, and they got along surprisingly for one night as they defeated The Miz and R-Truth. Now that's not as significant as what happened afterward. Triple H comes out there and says, Punk and Cena, good win. Miz and R-Truth, you're fired. That's right, Miz and R-Truth were fired by Triple H. After getting over the shock of it all, they went backstage, jumped Triple H from behind. That's when all the other wrestlers broke it up and threw him out of the building. Okay, so Miz and R-Truth are fired. Why did they attack CM Punk and Triple H in the first place? Who knows? But the bottom line is that ended Raw for this week, and I guess the continuation continues on between CM Punk and Triple H. And that ends Raw for this week. My opinion on Raw, it was okay until the main event, then it got confusing. Such good momentum, Raw. When you started making a comeback, you come right back down to the mountain. Unreal. Anyway, that was Raw for this week. Moving on now to TNA Impact from last night. We start out with Sting coming out there full of excitement, really happy that he defeated Ric Flair, and now he gets his shot at Hulk Hogan and Bound for Glory. That brings out Hogan, who states, "Brother, that's enough, man. The games are over, brother. I'm not medically clear." Oh, I love Sting's reaction. "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness," falls on the mat. Real funny, I like that. Well, Sting showed Hogan was medically cleared when you hit Sting with a chair a couple weeks ago, didn't you, Hogan? Stop being a coward, Hogan. We know you have that one good match left in you, brother. Whatever. And then Eric Bischoff says, "This ain't happening." He walks out there, power walks for some reason. He walks out there to ringside, and he goes, "That's enough, Sting. How dare you insult me? How dare you insult Hulk Hogan and waste that time?" And Sting knocks him on his can, as usual. Eric Bischoff, wrong place, wrong time. So Sting definitely will meet Hogan at Bound for Glory. Next up, Mickie James defeated Miss Tessmacher to qualify for the Fatal 4-Way match at Bound for Glory for the Knockouts title. Good win for Mickie James. Next up, the X Division title was on the line as the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Aries, defeated Jesse Sorensen thanks to a distraction by Kid Cash. It seems like Austin Aries, the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Aries, certainly making a stand in the X Division and making a name for himself now in TNA. Next up, Mexican Americans start celebrating by having their tattoos done, although one member of, I think, Anaconda, whatever his name is, decides, "Oh, I can't stand needles, bro. Pray with me, pray." Yeah, they were praying all right when Ink Inc. decides to show up and beat them up, put them through a table, left them laying in the middle of that tattoo parlor. I'm looking forward to seeing that confrontation down the road. Next up, Jeff Hardy continues on his campaign of apology as he confronts Kurt Angle with the apology. Kurt Angle says, "I don't want you here in TNA. You screwed up. I don't want you in TNA. You know who I am? I'm Kurt Angle. I'm an Olympic gold medalist." We know, Kurt. Would you please stop reminding us that you're an Olympic gold medalist? We're not that stupid. Well, Jeff Hardy says the only reason you're saying that is because I'm your biggest threat. Very interesting situation. Probably down the road, maybe Jeff Hardy will face Kurt Angle for that World Heavyweight title. Next, Kurt Angle goes out to ringside and confronts Bobby Roode and states that he better be careful because Christopher Daniels, who is going to face him that night, might do the same thing that his tag team partner might do, and that was James Storm. James Storm comes out there and says the only thing he's going to do is wrestle Kurt Angle and whoop his butt, and that was going to be the main event tonight for Impact. Looks like it all turned backwards for Kurt Angle in that plan. Next up, in a tag team match, will turn out to be a handicap match. Bully Ray and Jerry Lynn defeated RVD and Mr. Anderson. Rob Van Dam was jumped in the back by Jerry Lynn, and Bully Ray left him laying. That left a 2-on-1 situation for Mr. Anderson. And unfortunately for Mr. Anderson, he was beat by Bully Ray and Jerry Lynn thanks to the chain of Bully Ray. Next up, Robert Roode defeated Christopher Daniels by disqualification as Christopher Daniels shoved the referee. That brought in AJ Styles, and they started rolling all over the place, all in the back and back up to ringside. Finally broke it up by Kazarian. Or did he, when Daniels nailed AJ Styles with a low blow? Catch these two men continue on their feud, the next chapter of their feud between AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels at a TNA event near you. And this will definitely break up, unfortunately, fortune as far as I'm concerned. Next up in the main event, Kurt Angle and James Storm went to a no contest as Robert Roode came out there to prevent Kurt Angle from using the championship belt. He laid the belt in the ring and told Kurt Angle that it was going to be his at Bound for Glory. And that was Impact for this week. Impact was a pretty good show, very fast-paced, very exciting action, especially now with Kurt Angle and Robert Roode about to get ready for Bound for Glory, Sting versus Hogan. It is definitely an exciting time in TNA Impact, and that is the Impact report for this week. Now it's time for the Nitro Opinion, a little bit of a special edition of the Nitro Opinion this week. I received a question this week on my Rest 101 channel, and please, if you have any question that I would like, more than glad to answer, please leave them in the channel comments on the Rest 101 channel. I'll be more than glad to answer them for you right here, like I'm doing right now. For Bonita Mia Vlogs channel, she asked me, are the Divas of Doom, which is Beth Phoenix and Natalya Neidhart, are they really going to make a difference in the Divas division? Well, here's your answer. Yes, and I'll tell you why. Look at the Divas division now. If you take out Beth Phoenix and Natalya from the equation, what do you really have? The Bella Twins versus Kelly and Eve Torres. And that is it. That is your Divas division right now, if it wasn't for the Divas of Doom. Plus, you got AJ, who has no experience yet, and really the nerd of the WWE. I'm sorry, it doesn't work out for you. Then you got the underlinings, Alicia Fox, who I don't know whether she'll get a break or not. Rosa Mendez, I think she's stuck in purgatory as far as I'm concerned. So really, the Divas division is kind of depleted right now. The Divas of Doom, though, are certainly filling in that crack to make it at least somewhat credible with the experience of Natalya Neidhart's training and her breeding from her dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and that Hart pedigree. And of course, Beth Phoenix, probably one of the strongest divas in the WWE. So are they going to make a difference? Yes, because it's that void that is being filled right now and creating attention and excitement to the Divas division. Because let's face facts, the Knockouts are really head and shoulders above the Divas right now. And Beth Phoenix and Natalya Neidhart are certainly filling that void of excitement for wrestling fans. So the answer is yes, they will definitely make a difference. Thank you, Bonita Mia Vlogs channel, for asking that question. And if you have any question, I will be more than glad to answer for you right here on the Weekend Report. Just send the channel comment. I'll be more than glad to answer it for you. And I encourage everyone to send in a question, send in a comment. I truly appreciate it. And that is the Nitro Opinion for this week. I hope I answered your question there, Bonita Mia Vlogs channel. And that is it for this edition of the Weekend Report. In case you missed the bulletin, this weekend, actually tomorrow, it's going to be a major announcement concerning next week's shows for the Nitro Corner. That is tomorrow, along with part 2 of the Weekend Report, with the SmackDown Report, as well as the Nitro Top 10. Until then, I'm Paul the Nitro Skyver saying, so long everybody.